morning all. This session is Introduction to Web Services Testing. Before starting with web services testing, we need to know basic terminology related to web services. So let me start with what is web service. Web service is a method of communication between two devices over the network. So let's explain this statement with the picture. Moving to the another slide, as you can see in the figure, Java, .NET or PHP applications can communicate with other applications through web services over the network. So for example, Java application can interact with the Java, .NET and PHP applications. Same for .NET. .NET application also can interact with the Java, .NET, PHP applications. Same apply for PHP as well. So for example, 1 minute, I will open a Make My Trip and I will show you one real-time example. I am opening Make My Trip here. Here I am providing my source is New Delhi and my destination is Hyderabad, and I am traveling on some date. And if I click on search button, what will happen? We will receive the what are the flights available on that date based on the source and destination. So in real time, for example, this Make My Trip application is developed in Java, and while searching for flights from source to destination and clicked on search button, while clicking on the search button, we can assume this application, Make My Trip application, is communicating with the different vendor applications. For example, SpiceJet, Go Air, whatever vendors, because we are receiving all these flights available data from the different vendor portals. We can assume that all different vendor applications developed by either Java, either .NET, either PHP, and it gives the consolidated response from all these flights, like from vendors, we can say SpiceJet, Air India, Indigo. This all data is consolidating and it is displaying on the UI. We can say all these things, like in Make My Trip, I entered source and entered destination and I have provided the date and I clicked on search button and displayed the data. This one we called it as functional testing on UI. But when we do the same thing in middleware, like using web service testing tools like SOAP API, REST API, Ready API, Postman, there are different tools available for web service testing. When we do these functionalities in middleware using these tools, we can say it is a middleware testing, and web service testing we can call it as API calls testing, we can call it as any name. So based on this, we can say web service is a language independent way of communication, and also we can say web service is a technology to communicate over programming language, like to communicate with one programming language with another programming language. There are mainly two types of web services. One is SOAP web services and another one is RESTful web services. I will make a note because to recall next time. One is SOAP web services and another one is RESTful web services. Okay. So as I said earlier, when we clicking on the search button in Make My Trip application, web service call made and it will receive the response from different vendor applications and consolidated, and it displays on the UI. That means whatever we test, when we click on search button, it calls the web service. That means in middleware everything will communicated with using XML. because XML is, I will start with XML. Here XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. It was designed to store and transport data. This is the main point. XML is platform independent and language independent. That is the reason for any application, when we do something, it will transport the data. It will, when we for example, make me trip on, when I clicked on the submit button, it sends the data through XML and it receives the XML from the different vendor applications or different senders is also XML. So XML is very important to know the functionality or to test the web services. It plays the major role. Before starting with XML introduction, I want to tell you about web service components. What are the components are available in web services? There are mainly three major components available. So I will make a note here. Components. One is SOAP, second one is WSDL. We will call it as WSDL as WSDL, and another one is UDDI. Because these three are very important and XML is another important topic. And here SOAP means Simple Object Protocol, Simple Object Access Protocol. WSDL means Web Services Description Language. UDDI means Universal Description, Discovery and Integration. Universal Description, Discovery and Integration. I will explain about each and everything in coming slides. Before that, I will start with what is XML and structure of the XML. Moving to the another slide. This is example of XML document. Here you can see main thing is XML document uses a self-describing and simple. So the main advantage of XML is it has no predefined tags. Like for example, if you have an idea on HTML, which is hypertext markup language, which was designed with its own tags. For example, how HTML looks like is, I will show you simple thing in HTML. If HTML tags are like this, like head, if it is head, that means it prints at top of the web page. These head is predefined tags, and in HTML we have some tags like body. These all are predefined tags in HTML. But when it comes to the XML, it has its own tags. Developers can use their own tags to develop the XMLs. So as a tester, we will not create any own XML documents. So as testing purpose, we need to know the structure of the XML, how it looks, what are the tags, how to read, how to understand the XML. Because why XML is so important is, when we do the web service testing, use any of the tool. For example, there are, as I said, web service as in web services we have mainly two types. One is SOAP web service and another one is RESTful web service. So when we test through SOAP web services, it is a protocol. SOAP is a protocol, and developers will provide the WSDL. When we test through SOAP protocol in web service testing, developer will provide to us WSDL file. WSDL file is nothing but again it's a XML document. So once developer provided WSDL to us, we need to understand what it contains. So because it is again XML document, that means we need to understand what it has. So that is the reason XML is very important. Another thing, RESTful service. So in RESTful service, RESTful we will not call it as a protocol, it is a architectural approach. So when it comes to the REST, it will be, we can send the data through to the server through XML or JSON. So JSON is nothing but JavaScript object notation. JavaScript object notation. We can look into the JSON in coming sessions. But present, when I am into the coming back to the XML, here I will explain how it looks like and the structure of the XML, each and every tag how we will call. Coming to this slide, this one in XML, when they provide the WSDL, for example, if that WSDL document has this tag, we will call this tag as prologue. I will make a note here. The first tag we will call it as prologue. Means prologue defines the XML version and character encoding. And this XML prologue is optional. If it exists in WSDL document or any XML document, it must come first in the document. Okay. Moving to the remaining part here, this one we will call it as a root element, because XML documents must contain one root element, that is the parent for all of the other elements. Here if you assume this, in this document, in this example, I can say note is the root element and that is the parent for to, from, heading and body elements. So all elements can have sub elements, that means child elements. Here note element has sub elements, these we will call it as child elements. Okay, for any XML document there is a structure like this only, root element in that parent element, and root element, for example, if root element is parent, it has child. If my root element has grandparent, you can have this combination as well, grandparent in that parent, under parent it will be child. So this is the important one to know. And some more information, like XML tags are case sensitive, like if I write here tag as 2, it should be and sorry, like for example case sensitive means if I write this tag as 2, it should end with 2, because this is a opening tag, this is an ending tag. And XML language has no predefined tags. These all the tags to, from, heading, body, it all are developers can write their own tags. If they use note, it should end with note. Under note, to, from, heading, body, we will call it as elements. There is one more point is there, that is called attribute. There is one more point we can discuss, that is attribute. I copied this example and I kept it in notepad. For example, here under note I have written something like category equal to email. This category 1 we will call it as attribute. attributes are designed to contain data to related to the specific element. So this category belongs to note element. And there is one more important concept, that is XML namespace. When we look into the WSDL and when we look into the any big XML documents, there these all terminologies will be useful to understand the XML. Why we will use XML is, XML namespaces provides a method to avoid element name conflicts. For example, if I have note category as email, for example, if I have another note, how we will differentiate both the nodes using the namespaces? So we need to know how we will differentiate, because we will not develop any our own XMLs, because once developer provides the WSDL or WSDL documents, we have to look into the WSDL documents. Based on that, we need to create the one XML document, like one XML examples based on our functionality, and we have to provide the data in XML document, and we have to send the XML to the server using the tools. So when we look into the WSDL, then we can see what is XML namespace. Another important thing is XML schema. Here XML schema describes the structure of an XML document. Because why it is important is, when we look into the WSDL, there will be a schema for that one. For example, here I have in this note, under note we have to, from, heading, body. In to, can I send the integer? From, can I send the integer? We are not sure what data it should contain. So in XML schema we can see to contains only character, from contains only character, or integer, or date. You can see all the data types of the particular elements. So that is the reason it is very important. For example, when we test it on middleware, if you take make my trip, where I provided the source, I provided the destination, and I provided the date. Date means we should give the date. When we test same through web services, that means using SOAP-AI tool. For example, if I take SOAP-AI tool, if I want to test it in middleware, developer has provided the WSDL, and there I want to send that request to the server, and I want to see what response I received. In that case, in XML tags, I have to provide the from, source, and I have to provide the destination, I have to provide the date. So date means it should contain the date, and we should know the date format. These all data types of the schema, that is XML schema supports the data types, and it has I can say it has the structure of the WSDL in the form of namespaces, what namespaces it has, and everything. And moving to the next slide now, what is SOAP? Another important concept. This is one of the web service component, and SOAP is an acronym for Simple Object Access Protocol. It is a XML based protocol for accessing web services, and it is based on transferring XML data as SOAP messages. Why it is important is, when we discussed about types of web services, first one is SOAP web services and second one is REST web services. Here why we use SOAP? Okay, for that it is a protocol, first one I can say, because SOAP is XML, as the second statement here, it is a XML based protocol for accessing web services. Why? Because SOAP is a platform independent and language independent. In other words, we can say it can be used with the Java or .NET or PHP language on any platform. So by using SOAP, you will be able to interact with with other programming language applications. And again, SOAP is based on transferring XML data as SOAP messages. Why we have given this third statement is each message, because whatever we sent has something which is known as an XML document again. Only the structure of the XML document follows the specific pattern like this, but not the content. The best part of web services and SOAP is that all sent via HTTP protocol, HTTP, the Hypertext Transfer Protocol, which is standard web protocol. Okay, so as we said, it is it's based on the transferring XML data as SOAP messages. So that is the reason we will test web services either SOAP protocol or REST protocol. When it is a SOAP protocol, when it is SOAP, that time developers will provide WSDL file to the testers based on the requirements. So for example, we have we have 5 to 10 operations. Here I will tell you what is operations and everything. 5 to 10 operations contains one WSDL file. Based on each and every functionality from the WSDL, we have to create the XML, and in XML we have to provide the data. We will run it on different tools. And because when we say SOAP protocol, again it has its own structure, as we said. In that again it will be, I will write a syntax here how SOAP protocol, how SOAP structure looks like. It has SOAP envelope, again the structure will SOAP header it has, and again it has SOAP body, and again it has SOAP fault. So this envelope element that identifies the XML document as a SOAP message. So there is some standard, right, how to identify how can we say this is SOAP message, using SOAP envelope element that identifies the XML document as a SOAP message. Header element, this header element that contains the header information. Body element contains what call we did, and response information, both. Coming to the fault, this fault element containing errors and status information. This is the structure of the SOAP. Moving to the advantages and disadvantages of SOAP web services are, the main advantages, it is security, and another one language and platform independent. Coming to the disadvantages, slow and WSDL dependent, because as I said, like when it is a SOAP, developers must and should provide the WSDL file. Using WSDL file only we can create the XMLs, and we will keep the data in XML file, and we will send it to the server, and we will receive the response. That is the reason it is in WSDL dependent. When it comes to the RESTful services, I will explain there what are the different forms, like XML, we can pass the data in XML, we can pass data in JSON format. There are ways in RESTful web services. Moving to the next slide, this is what is WSDL. Okay, this is another important thing, because we need to know, to test SOAP we should know about WSDL. WSDL is an acronym for Web Services Description Language, and WSDL is an XML document containing information about web services such as method name, method parameter, and how to access it. So here I have written one statement like, when it is web services, 5 to 10 operations it should have. We will call it as operations methods. When we look into the WSDL, we can understand how many operations are there, how many methods are there, and everything. And another important point is it is a part of UDDI, which is Universal Description, Discovery and Integration. It acts as an interface between web service applications. Why this statement is, UDDI is a XML based framework for describing, discovering and integrating web services. And another important point is UDDI is a directory of web service interfaces described by WSDL containing information about web services. That is the reason it is another important component in web services. Moving to the another one, what are the protocols we used in web services? So I want to explain one more thing before coming to this slide. In Google we can search for the sample WSDLs, how it looks like. For example, there is a portal, we can go into the SOAP.org, which is where we can see all the SOAP.ai. We can go to the SOAP.ai open source. This is the SOAP.ai.org. We can go there. This is a SOAP.ai provided by Smart Bear. So there we can, otherwise we can search for currency converter. WSDL is there. So much information available in Google, what is WSDL and everything. Here there is a currency converter link, should be here. Yeah, here I can see the link. These all are freeware WSDLs. Yeah, if you open this, sorry, I'm searching with WSDL currency converter and I clicked on converter with web service, converter web service. If you see here currency converter, here you can see in converter service description. So this one we will call it as web service description language. You can see here WSDL definitions. And earlier we discussed about the namespaces, right? Namespaces looks like this: XML, NS means namespace. Here you can see the schemas, and here if you see in the schema you can see these all are attributes. In these two attributes are belongs to the schema. In that you can see in schema there is another child, that is element. Types is the, we can say type is parent for schema, schema is parent for element, like that we can call it as. You can see this is array of string. These are the data types. As I said, it has schema contains, using schema we can know element data type. That means here this element min occurs, max occurs, name is currency. This currency type is string. Another one, rate date. This data type is date time. So when we look into the WSDL schema, here we can know how it looks like based on the namespaces, based on the different attributes, based on the data types. So if you understand this WSDL, once we import into the any tool, there we have to see the structure of the WSDL and based on our requirements how it fits. For our requirement we have to create XMLs based on this WSDL file. Coming back to PPT, so sorry, yeah, we are here. So that is all about WSDL, and it was provided by development team, and once development team provides, we need to look into the WSDL and we need to understand the structure of the WSDL, what are the operations, what are the methods it has. We can call it as methods or operations with any name. And moving to the next slide, protocols used in web services. So there are different protocols which will be used in web services, mainly SOAP, UDDI, web processing service, another one is web services conversation language, but mainly it will be SOAP protocol, and another one is RESTful services. Why not included REST is, it is not a protocol, it is an architectural approach. So that is the reason I have not included REST here. Moving to the another one, why do we need web services testing? Okay, like in MakeMyTrip application, when I given source and destination and date, and I clicked on search button, so that means usually who will do, functional tester will do. He will write the manual test cases like enter source, enter destination, click on submit button, what are the flights received on that day. They will validate with the requirements. But the same thing we will do it in middleware. So because if the person directly, without web services testing, if development team deploys their code into the environment and asks functional team, UI team to test on the UI, user interface, if they will start their functionality, is the scope for getting many defects, because directly they deployed the code into the environments and ask for the UI testing. So because it's directly once the developer completes the development, they will do only UI testing and they deploy the code and nobody else is tested, and to test it on UI many resources also required. So to avoid that, to avoid many defects on UI, we can test the services in middleware itself using the SOAP protocol and REST protocol, using different tools. Because for example, in middleware, if I search from Hyderabad to Bangalore and I've given the traveling date and clicked on the search button, there I have to click on the run to send that request to the service, to the server and get the response. In that response itself, I can see what is the flights available, on which date available. I'm getting the response with the whatever date I searched. So we can see we can test all the combinations in web service in middleware itself. So when it comes after middleware testing confirms, and they deployed the code on UI on different environment to available for UI testers, then it will be easy for them to test, and the scope is very less to get the defects, because we are testing the application in middleware. Coming to the PPT here, I have given some important points. Web service testing is to verify that all the APIs exposed by your application operate as expected. So here the statement is application programming interface APIs, because like developers can provide one WSDL, or developers can provide 2 or 3 WSDLs which contains different operations. So we will test the different methods on using these APIs. And second one, web services allows you to expose the functionality of your existing code over the network. So we are testing the functionality in service level itself, not on UI. And another statement is, it is a collection of open protocols and standards used for exchanging data between applications or systems. Because when we are testing on this middleware, we are using the SOAP protocol, that is the standard web protocol, and it will exchanging the data between different applications, right? When we sending the request, it is hitting the server and receiving the response from different vendors or different applications, and it is displaying and it is giving the consolidated response to the user. Moving to the another one. Yeah, before start with what is SOAP API, I want let you know guys, what are the tools available in the market for web services testing. Mainly the available tools are SOAP-UI. I will give you a note. SOAP-UI, and another one is Postman, and another one is Ready API, and another one SOAP-UI Pro and CA Lisa. There are many tools are available in the market, but here we are covering what is SOAP-UI and how to test SOAP and REST, and how to automate using Groovy script. This all we will discuss in further classes, but here mainly SOAP-UI. Why we are using SOAP-UI compared with the other tools? Because SOAP-UI is open source tool, and using Groovy script we can automate as well, and using SOAP-UI we can do SOAP and protocol, SOAP and REST, both we can use it. And when it comes to the Postman, it is RESTful services we can test, and Ready API, SOAP-UI Pro, CA Lisa, all these three tools are licensed tools, so we need to buy it. So that is the reason mainly we are using SOAP-UI. And here the statements are: SOAP-UI is a tool for testing web services, and another one, as I said, it is a open source and it's completely free tool. And another one, it is a Java based, so it runs on most operating systems. As I said, we are using Groovy script to write the code in SOAP-UI, so it's similar to Java only. We can discuss in further classes. And another one, it can be used for complete RESTful API and SOAP web services testing. And in another slide, how to downloading and installing SOAP-UI. So I have given the link here to download SOAP-UI. There is soapui.org. Directly we can go to that link and we can install version 5.4.0 because this is the latest one present. So we can use this version to install SOAP-UI. And thank you guys. In further classes we can see the installation of SOAP-UI and how to create a project, and more details about WSDL file and XML and SOAP protocol, how to test, how to create the request, and how to look into the response, how to validate the response. All these classes, all these topics we can see in further classes. Thank you very much.